Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Jing Dynasty podcast. I took a week off, and I took a week off from the podcast. I took a week off from social media, and actually, some people DM me and were like, "Where have you been?" And I'm sorry if I scared anybody. I honestly just needed to take a break, and I needed to take some time to reflect because I am at a point in my life where I want to make some significant changes, and I really just needed to pause for a little bit. There's Cece in the background. I don't know what she's doing, but I can hear her doing something. What are you doing, girl?
Hello. I just moved something. I guess it's very sensitive.
It's
Okay.
super sensitive. Well, I don't know. I can hear it. Maybe the folks at home can't. But anyway, yeah. Cece flew out to see me immediately because like I was just going through it. And I'm so thankful for her. She's amazing, a wonderful human. And I think like basically you're like, okay, well, what happened? Um, I just realized I don't want toxic people or toxic situations in my life anymore. And I realized that I constantly surround myself with toxic people and put myself into toxic situations because that's all I've known. And I was love my parents both to death, but like, you cannot ignore childhood trauma with the person you are today. And like I've definitely resolved and remedied my relationships with my parents and get along with both of them quite well. I would call both of them my best friends. Um, yeah, obviously, Cece, you're my best friend, but you know what I mean. Like I have very, very close relationships
Yeah.
with my parents.
Hmm.
Um,
Of
and
course.
but like growing up, I was exposed to a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse, and I definitely was not in the healthiest environment. And the thing is that I'm 34 now. I'm not a child forced into that operating system. I create my own operating system now. And I've continued to choose to be in a hellish nightmare. I'm actually like putting myself into that type of operating system when I have the choice to cut it off or not. And
Hmm.
I want to cut it off. I don't want toxic people or toxic situations in my life anymore, and I want to stop putting myself in those situations. And so like the big question I had to ask myself this week was, how am I going to do this? The first thing that I've identified is like this is not going to be easy. It's going to be really painful. For me, like I'm the type of person who has literally been living a sort of lifestyle for 34 years, you know what I mean? And it's like my lifestyle needs to change if I wanted to be calmer and healthier and I don't know, just better, you know? And
Yeah.
so like I have to it's literally going to take a physical and mental adjustment. You know what I mean? Like I will have to adjust to a new way of life. And honestly, like one of my friends said to me straight up, like, this is like, you're kind of saying bye to your youth in a way. You know what I mean? And I'll always be young at heart and I'll always be like fun and wild. Like, I'll always be myself, my personality. But it's kind of just like entertaining toxic people and toxic situations. Like, I'm too old for that. I'm too old for
Hmm.
that. Like I don't want to mess with that anymore. Like that doesn't serve me at all and I'm done. And you know what? Like when you're younger and you're in your 20s, like that might all be fun and honestly COVID's been really awful to me and I've entertained a lot of toxic people that I shouldn't have. And I understand now it was just piece like straight up loneliness and but you know what? I'm going to have to be alone and it's going to be really painful and it's going to be really uncomfortable, but this is the only way I'm going to like shed this disgusting skin that I've developed and hopefully like come out of this new.
Hmm.
And without a doubt, like I know what I need to do. Like it's And everybody has a different way of connecting back with themselves. Like for me, like I was raised really Catholic, so like I do want to start going back to church. I've already started going back to church. I've already tried to connect myself with that community. I've tried to align myself with people who have the same values as me. And you know, like before, when I would, like, I'll be completely honest, Cece, like I love hanging out with Cece. Like she's super fun. We have a good time together. But it's like I also liked going out with certain people and going out and doing certain things, and I knew that was not in alignment with stuff like Cece wanted to do, you know? And like losing that side of my life is going to be tough. And I'm sure that like to a degree like I can, you know what I mean, still go out and have fun and everything, but it's just like there's just parts of my life that I'm like it's just time to grow up, you know, and it's time to start just like a new chapter that's healthy, because it's like otherwise like I've learned that if you put yourself in toxic situations and you surround yourself with toxic people, it will catch up with you. It will. It doesn't matter how good you are, how good your heart is. Like when you are surrounding yourself with that, for lack of a better word, like evil and chaos or whatever freaking adjective you want to apply there, it's going to catch up with you and it's going to hurt you. And if you continue to feed into it, it will destroy you. And I'm done. I don't really know what the next chapter is going to be for me though. Like I'm like, and that's what I think I'm trying to sort out now. Like I know the type of people I don't want in my life anymore. I also know that like I have a problem saying no. And I have a problem like of I'm always worried about hurting people's feelings, and I'm always worried about like people liking me. And literally all of that has to go away. Like I need to start focusing on loving and appreciating myself, and saying no when I want to say no, and you know what I mean? Like just establishing boundaries. I feel like time and time again in this podcast, I just talk about establishing boundaries, you know? And it's just funny. I just feel like my whole life has gotten away from me. Like I feel like, you know, like I'm being very hard on myself right now. Like there's a lot of good qualities here, and I've done a lot of good in my life, but I feel like there is a part of it that I just really badly want to remedy. Like I just want it to be done. And I was talking to like one of my friends last night, and I was like, for me, like this is a part of my life that like I want changed. Like I want this fixed, you know? And he was like, well, for him, he's, you know, very put together, and like his, you know, like he's perfect. The only thing that it does not work for him is that he can't find a girlfriend. And so he obsesses over it, and it's really tough for him, you know? And so like I understand, like I'm looking at a battle right now that I'm obsessing over and trying to figure out, but like I also know like I need to be easy with myself too, and like I just need to go through this process. But then I also know that I can't ignore this either, you know? I think it's just like it was easy to ignore that I was putting myself in toxic situation after toxic situation, because like sometimes it was fun and sometimes it felt good. Like there was like little positives, you know what I mean? And I think we all have this problem where we like just see the positive and we like ignore the negative. And it's like, it's right there in front of us. We see it right away. Like we know all the worst outcomes, but like we choose to ignore it. And I think that's what my big awakening is here, is like see everything in its totality. Like see people, like, you know, like I'm a very personal person. I love interacting with people. I love getting to know people, but like see what's actually happening with them. Like don't ignore the bad. And also one thing that I've really started to figure out is like, you can't rely on people to save you, and you can't save people either sometimes. You know what I mean? It's like people have to go through their own battles, and I have to go through my own battle as well. And I think for a long time I've been trying to, I've just been like throwing myself in these situations, like hoping that like somehow something is gonna just whisk me away and rescue me from all this. And it's just like, it ain't gonna happen like that. This ain't a fairy tale. Like the only person who's gonna save me is me. That's it. And the people in my past that I was like, oh, well, they're really toxic, but like, I'm trying to help them, I'm trying to be there for them. Like, they're only going to save themselves. Like, we don't end things until we want to end them. And for me, it's like, I have reached a point where I want this to end. And I know it's going to be super uncomfortable. And I know that it's not going to feel right because it's been my operating system for like literally almost 4 decades now. Ew. I'm old. Anyway. But yeah, so I mean, like, for me, that's a big realization. And I just want to be kinder to myself. I just want to be nice to myself. Like, it's just like I've been so hard on myself. And it's just like I just want to get through each day and do better. And really, like, all I got to do is avoid toxicity. Like, when I see a toxic person, see it as it is and just be like, okay, I'm not going to allow myself to get closer to this person. You know, when I see a toxic situation, avoid it. If I'm talking to someone and they're starting to show signs of toxicity, distance myself. If I find a toxic situation I'm like in the middle of, then like be like, hey, I got to pause here and we can like come back to this later. But like right now it's just like not appropriate. Right. And so I just think like I'm nervous because I think that, you know, I've come to a big realization here, but it's like making it stick. And, you know, Cece, one thing that, you know, we discussed while you were here was minimizing temptation. You know what I mean? It's like knowing yourself and minimizing temptation. Like, I know I'm an anxious attachment person with abandonment issues, and I like to be reassured. And it's like, so why am I talking to people, entertaining people who like to put me down or don't like to reciprocate feelings or are really selfish? Like, that doesn't align with me, you know? Like, I know me. And it's like, yes, maybe those are reflections of my parents and how I was raised or my family, whatever, you know what I mean? But it's like, that does not match me. And it might be what I'm used to, but it does not match me. So like, do not entertain that at all. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally just comes down to alignment. I forgot the other thing I said. What was the other thing? I just got my vaccine, folks, so I don't know if that's affecting my brain. But I thought I said alignment, and then I said something else. You don't remember?
Attachment to people.
No. Yeah, I mean, like, one is like, just, for me, it's just like aligning with my values. Like, it's like putting myself in situations that align with me, connecting with people who align with me. Like, it's really just not that hard. And I'm just don't know. It's minimizing temptation. Minimizing temptation was the other thing. It's, being with people who align with you, and then it's like, okay, let's not add factors that are going to exacerbate the situation, like staying out super late and doing other stuff. Like, you know what I mean? It's like avoiding toxic situations, avoiding toxic people, avoiding toxic situations, hanging out with people who align with you, doing things that align with you. And it's like, I think, you know, I love to have fun. I love to have a good time, but it's also like, you don't, like my friend today said, like, you have people who have food allergies, like they literally have like a reminder, like you can't eat bananas, right? Or you're gonna die. So it's like, they don't eat bananas because they realize how harmful that is to them. You know what I mean? So it's like, don't put yourself with those people. Don't put yourself with those situations. And I think I've always just been afraid to say no to people. I've been afraid to say no to situations. I've had FOMO. Like, I just have a lot of things that I'm need to sort out and just be okay with. And I know how painful it's going to be. Like, I know it's going to be super painful. Like, saying no to people is going to hurt. Like, my friend was like, it's going to be uncomfortable for you to say no to people. It is uncomfortable for me to say no to people. Like, I asked Cece, I say yes to everything. And even if I'm hurting, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I'm like, okay, well, I'm really tired. I'm really burnt out. I'm really overextended, but I just don't know how to say no to people. Like, and it's like, I have to start putting myself in that uncomfortable situation of just being like, no, and laying down boundaries, And it's going to suck. But I know I'm going to come out of it the other end better. So, yeah.
Yeah. And it'll get easier the more you do it.
That's also true. Thank you for that. Well, I just talked for 15 minutes straight, so I'm sorry, Cece. Anything that you'd like to add for our closing points here on this kind of sad and not fun episode, but that's okay.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the right notes. You just have to say no. You have to see it and be able to realize it. That was great that you pointed that out,
I
being able
think
to
you saying see it,
see.
it's not just see them, but see yourself. Like,
Right.
I
Yeah,
haven't
knowing
seen
yourself.
myself. Yeah, like it's like I didn't even know.
But
I
it's like
saw
not
I saw
knowing.
the writing on the wall with so many of these
Yeah.
people and so many of these
Hmm.
situations. I
Yeah.
saw the writing on the wall, but then I refused to be like, this does not bode well for me. Like, I did not see myself in those situations. I didn't see the negative impact it would have on me?
Right. Yeah. And it's not knowing yourself like on the surface, but like deeper, like you were saying. So,
Yeah. Anyway, well, I think that's a good wrap up on this last episode here, or this latest episode. And yeah, I just thank you all for being with me on this journey. Like, I'm just trying to be a better human. And it's hard. Life is super hard. Like, I'm no stranger to trauma. I lost my brother, did not have the greatest childhood. Um, I work in a business that's like super cutthroat and you never know what's going to happen. And I was listening to this like video lately, and it's like we believe that human beings want to be like in these aggressive competitive situations, but really like it leads to physical illness, it leads to mental illness. Like,
hmm.
we want to be stress free, we want to be in a happy place. And so I need to be stress free and I need to find that happy place. So that's what I'm going to try to do. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. If you don't know, Cece, what do you want to say? Final words from Cece.
I know. I was just like, life isn't the emergency. Life isn't all about competition. It's about, just coexisting. It's more about, loving each other, showing compassion, empathy, all those.
See, that's the thing. It's like, it's not a competition. I agree with you. But then, like, I'm obsessed with volleyball, and like, competing has just been a part of my DNA for so long. And I love pushing myself. Like, I feel like, it's got to be a happy medium too. Like, no
Yeah.
offense, Cece and I are complete opposites. Cece moves like molasses, y'all. Like, literally, I'll be like, can you get some
Oh, no,
water?
but
And
like,
she's like, mm,
no,
what's the
competition,
time?
like for
Like,
bettering yourself is good. But like,
yeah,
you shouldn't be comparing yourself to other people. That's what
no,
I'm saying. Like, you should always strive to do better each day.
yeah,
So you should compete with yourself, but you shouldn't compete with others because there's no point. Because they're
agreed.
different. You're two different people. So that's what I meant.
What are we going to title this podcast? No more toxicity? I don't know. Cutting out evil people, S word people. Anyway, I'll work on that headline. But thank you guys so much for listening. And Cece, thank you for letting me just like go off per usual.
Hmm.
Whoopsie. But yeah, all right. We will check in with you all later. Bye.